Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, GMB SHOW. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The Chase star, who was also a comedian, revealed how he had been due to perform at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival when he had a heart attack and refused to phone an ambulance as he didn't want to lose out on a lot of money. Paul Sinha has recounted the moment he suffered 2 heart attacks at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, but kept quiet as he didn't want to cause a scene. The Chase star, 55, he also a comedian, opened up about the sudden health scare he faced during a 2023 run at the iconic festival in the capital. Article continues below. Speaking on Tuesday morning's episode of Good Morning Britain, he said, "It was a bit of a wild show. It was very much about my life as a gay, disabled son of immigrants, but it was quite a political show, and it was a big show. I was in a room with 400 people in, and it all got on top of me, and I had 2 heart attacks in the same Edinburgh Fringe. 2! Week number 1 and week number 3. He explained the first heart attack was while he was shaking the hand of Levi Roots, and the quiz guru decided to excuse himself rather than get someone to ring for an ambulance. Paul said, "I didn't want to cause a scene. I didn't want to call an ambulance. I thought I might as well just get into a cab to take me to the nearest hospital as quick as possible, which is what I did." Paul was discharged without a proper diagnosis, but even suffering a second one, the chaser, who described the first heart attack as not like anything I've ever felt before, was still determined to continue his fringe run. He recalled, "The first time they didn't diagnose it properly, so they sent me home, and the second time they said, 'These have been 2 small heart attacks.' So I carried on. But looking back on it, that's not the right thing to do. I know why I did it because of the Edinburgh Festival, and I didn't want to lose a huge amount of money." Paul is best known for being a chaser, nicknamed the Sinnerman, on the ITV show. However, he is also a former GP who has spent 3 decades practicing his craft as a comedian, the Metro reports. The 55-year-old was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2019, and he admitted on GMB that he makes his comedy goldmine condition, which is a neurodegenerative disease which affects both motor and non-motor systems, part of his stand-up shows. Paul quipped, "I do lots of jokes about it. It's as simple as that. You deal with the cards you've been dealt, and if you've been given a comedy goldmine, as Parkinson's is, then you deal with it. I mean, as far as I'm aware, no other comedians at the Edinburgh Fringe will be talking about their own struggles with neurological degeneration, so might as well be me." Paul Sinha could feel the pain creeping across his chest, a dull hammer thudding under his ribs as the rain lashed the narrow streets of Edinburgh. It was his 3rd night performing at the Fringe, and the city smelled of wet flyers, fried chips, and relentless ambition. He gripped the mic stand backstage, sweat trickling down his temple despite the cold. The pain flared again, sharper, tighter, but he closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and forced a smile. "Paul, are you okay?" a young tech whispered, eyes wide. Paul said, "I'm the Sinnerman. We don't cancel shows." Moments later, the lights hit his face and the small venue roared with warmth. His heart was thumping so violently it felt like an offbeat drum solo, but he launched into his set with sharp musical timing. "Last night, I realized you haven't lived until you've had a cardiac event in a kebab shop." The audience laughed, thinking it was a gag. Paul paused, gripping the mic, willing the wave of dizziness to pass. He saw the blur of a young man in the front row, tears from laughter streaking down his face. For a heartbeat, literally, Paul felt alive. But the pain didn't leave. The next morning, he collapsed in the tiny shower of his Fringe flat, the world spinning, his arm numb. He pressed a palm against the tiles and forced himself upright, gasping for air. He was rushed to a small Edinburgh hospital, monitors beeping, nurses fussing, doctors frowning. The words "minor heart attack" drifted past him like smoke, but all Paul could think about was the clock ticking toward his 7:30 p.m. slot. "You need to rest, Paul," the doctor said, eyes kind but firm. "I need to perform," Paul replied.
They tried to keep him overnight, but he signed himself out, the wristband still clinging to his arm as he hailed a cab back to the venue. He was shaking, but the Fringe had always been his sanctuary, a place where you bared your truth for a room of strangers that became your family for an hour. That night he walked onto the stage, the pain like an echo under each breath. But he looked out and saw them, students, parents, aspiring comics, NHS workers on a rare night out, and he knew why he was there. Anyway, Paul said, "I've just come from a small, underfunded venue called the cardiology ward." The crowd exploded with laughter, not realizing it wasn't a joke. He rode the wave, his body heavy, his mind razor-sharp, because if he was going to go, it would be doing what he loved, not lying quietly in a hospital bed. After the show, he returned to the hospital, his chest tight but his spirit alight, ready to face the doctors with a grin. Because Paul Sinha didn't just survive the Edinburgh Fringe with 2 heart attacks. He refused to let them stop him.